Hey guys, Ian here with Amplified Essential Fitness. Again, today this is another hard-hitting one about schools and the weights culture of schools. Being a teacher, it's been insane trying to understand where these people are coming from, where they got their educations from, how they can even begin to think that what they're teaching these kids is correct or right or anything like that. So I did some digging, and as you guys will see, it's insane how little understanding of weights you have to have, or you can have, and be a PE teacher, be a weights teacher. It's unbelievable, honestly. I don't understand it. So we'll start here. Picture this. We have these bright fluorescent lights in an empty weight room. We have all these barbells and old dumbbells sitting around, and you hear a whistle, a coach's whistle. That is where a lot of kids get their idea of strength from. Not from being curious about it, not from going to the local gym or talking to the big guy that they know who they know lifts. Not through discovering it through science, not through any rational idea of strength, but through imitating what they're taught in school. These programs were written decades ago. It's the same thing that the coaches or the teachers in the class in that weight room have been doing for 20, 30, 40 years. It's the same thing they did when they were in high school. All of a sudden, we have no worry about understanding what they're doing. It's all about the numbers. The numbers create the worth for these kids. It's how much can I lift? How heavy can I go? How many reps can I get of this extremely absurd weight? It's not about form. It's not about understanding the movement. It's just numbers. And we claim that we're building this to build a better person, to give them a more rounded education. But it stopped becoming about that a long, long time ago. It's the same tests. It's the same just repetition of words. Whatever they're saying to these kids is what they were told. It's what their teachers were told. It's been handed down generation after generation because it's easy. They don't have to think. They don't have to go do any research. They don't have to go and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. They just know that it works because look at them. They can do all of this stuff and they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, however old they are. And they can still do it. So it must be beneficial. Now, just as a disclaimer, this isn't an attack on coaches and teachers. Some people will know that I'm talking about them. Oops. But what this really comes down to is breaking down and identifying a system that confuses chaos for learning. It confuses repetition for mastery, and it uses tradition as truth. Because if it was right 20 years ago, it must be right still today. To understand why schools have failed with this, we have to begin where the problem started, inside a secondary school weight room, where a culture built by coaches for athletes and these sports kids became their basis of education. The modern school weight room may look like there's been some progress in the past 30, 40 years. You have nice new barbells, you have nicer weights, you have nice squat racks, machines, a little bit cleaner dumbbells, cables, things like that. But really, there is no difference. Most of the programs that these kids are running were not designed through any kind of true science or pedagogy or anything. they were inherited by the previous weights teachers. They were inherited by their coaches. They were inherited by a lack of understanding. They were built by these coaches who understand tactics in sports, who understand what it means to be athletic on a field, not through an understanding of physiology. What started as a way of conditioning athletes and getting athletes ready for these things, making sure that there was some baseline measurement that they could use, has become the overall model for strength training in schools. There is no true deep understanding of what they're doing. There's just effort, blind effort in place of understanding, where how intense you go, how red you get, how sore you are has become your identity in the weights class. There are charts of all these weights and your percent of your max all over, pretending, masquerading as a curriculum. We're teaching these 5x5s. We're teaching 4x8 to 12. We're teaching all of these things that have not been in use by most of the research gym community in a while. But we're putting it off as the kids are progressing. There is no real sense of progressive overload. There's no understanding the form or understanding the movement itself. It is simply, can you add more weight and not get injured? This is what happens when we teach weights without understanding the direction, understanding any of the behind the scenes parts of lifting weights, when we've just been trained by our coaches and when we just continue to do what they told us to do. These classrooms are a relic of the past that just refused to die. Every generation of coach inherits exactly what their coach gave them. You max out on bench, you max out on squat, you max out on your cleans or even snatches. And they don't question any of that. They don't think, well, why are we doing this? Does this actually, help the kids out at all? It's just Olympic lifts meant to refine power, meant to refine coordination, and they're treated as these tests of, well, how strong are you? How much have you changed? Are you getting stronger? Are you getting, are you becoming more of an athlete? Are you going to serve the school well? But we need to kill that ego because it is destroying a lot of these kids' idea of strength training. One of the stories I have about this personally, when I was teaching at junior high level, there were 7th graders who were maxing out their cleans, and on a warm-up clean, one kid, off balance, broke both of his arms. And the teacher's response? Well, we should have had a spotter. My brother, how do you spot a clean? Did you want 2 kids breaking things? Or are you going to own up and fess up to the fact that you don't understand what you're doing? Oh, well, 16-year-old came up to me, I squat 500 pounds. If you can squat 500 pounds, why are you not powerlifting? Why are you not breaking national records? Why are you not going to the IPF Worlds? Because you're not actually doing those things. Your spotters are holding on to you. You're not even squatting to depth. It's essentially a leg press variation for you because you're squatting to a bench that isn't even close to depth. Your knees don't even hit 90 degrees. When we don't understand training, and we have no scientific backing, we don't understand the literature, we have no literacy in any part of what we're doing, we go by superstition, we go by what we were taught. Explode out of the bottom of that squat. What do you mean? Give me some cues. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Okay, are you okay? Volume and proximity to failure are just completely ignored in favor of just, well, did you put your max effort in? This is completely contrary to the science that we have today. The scientific understanding of proximity to failure, RPE, volume, all of that completely contradicts what these coaches are saying. There have been multiple studies done about youth resistance training and how beneficial it is when done correctly, when it is supervised correctly, when it is actually progressively overloading, and when it's individualized to the student's needs. The NSCA also preach this. I'm reading this word for word for you guys, insisting that qualified oversight and graduated loading are non-negotiable. Meaning we need to be progressively overloading. We need to make sure that the form is strict. We need to make sure that they're understanding the movement itself before we start throwing maxes at them. But in most schools, we have one coach sitting in a weight room, not doing anything, on their phone, scrolling through TikTok, not watching the kids form, not watching to make sure that the weights that they're loading up are even the weights that they should be doing. None of it is done correctly. Every reckless 1-rep max day that we have for these kids, every day of a kid failing to push their max 5, 10, 15, 30 pounds further, is another kid who just becomes unsatisfied with the gym, who becomes someone who will never step foot, more than likely, into another gym in their life unless they get to the point where they're like, oh, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, and then they'll avoid the weight sections completely. That is the reality of where we're living today. And it really boils down to this idea of we have a curriculum, but we don't. The curriculum has been passed down generation to generation. It is the same thing. And it is all from this idea of, well, we're building athletes. They're taught to just listen to what they're supposed to do. They're not taught form. They're not supervised to make sure that they're loading correctly, that they have the correct movement down for that pattern that they're doing. They're just told, go do. Maybe here's an example of how to do it. Go do. All it is, and all it becomes, is a performance by the students who don't want to be there, and a performance of, I can lift this much, I'm this strong, by the other students, while their form breaks down and they're going to be living with injuries one day. That is so far from where we should be. As someone who is a certified personal trainer and has worked with many, many people, what it really comes down to is training with intensity, and you'll create that purposeful transformation that you want. Okay, you train with intensity correctly. Training with intensity doesn't just mean throwing all your effort into something. It means we're doing it correctly to the point of failure. It means that we are pushing ourselves, as Coach Greg says, harder than last time. You are giving it your all, and you're working yourself to the point that the muscle itself cannot do anymore with good form, to the point of not getting injured. But that requires an understanding that many of these coaches and teachers don't have, because they're just going off of what they were told to do. Now, if you think about education back in the 90s, back in the 80s, and you think about a weight room back then, yeah, you'll have some, different clothing. You'll have, kids in baggy shorts. You've got the iron plates just clanging. That's all you hear. Some kids going for a 405 squat, and they've just got those weights clanging around. And a coach just yelling at them, explode, push, pull, whatever you want for whatever lift it is. If you cut to 2025, you cut to right now, it's the exact same thing. The only thing that's changed are there are new kids in there. Nothing new has been taught. It is simply the same programs that they were running before, renamed. This ritual of, well, it's what I was taught. Next generation comes in. Well, it's what I was taught. Next generation comes in. Well, it's what I was taught. Because it feels familiar. and because they feel that it works when it doesn't. If this underlying foundation of weight training is as broken as it is, and the culture that it's supporting always collapses under itself, this isn't where students learn strength. This is where they learn that they've been lied to. And when that becomes the culture, when kids are learning this counterfeit strength, what happens? The next chapter is all about the culture of these weight rooms, what it's like in there, what the workouts are like in there, and how awful it can be when you have to retrain somebody later in life because of what they learned in school.